Hi, I'm Travis, and this is Bestie Approved. I'm hanging out with my new friend who believes that joy is a form of courage and a powerful act of resistance, which is absolutely Bestie Approved. Amy Dickens is the creator of the Joyfully You podcast and the author of 101 Ways to Spread Joy. And she's a coach and a voice encouraging people to create joy for themselves and others around them. Amy, I'm going to let you introduce yourself and kind of we'll see where the vibe takes us.
Sweet. Yeah. I also love, I saw you like sticky noted the book.
Yeah.
Oh my God. So
I took
cute.
notes.
It's like absolutely precious. I love your little note-taking self. It's incredible. Get a gold star.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
Yeah. I'm Amy Dickens. I am on a mission to help reconnect people to their joy and their play as a tool of transformation so that we can become the version of ourselves that we came here to be by helping, regulate our nervous systems the fun way, because I've done like 10 years of all the different things. And it's one of the tools that every single day I'm like, whoa, that actually works. And more recently, it's also dived into how can we create ripple effects of joy to create change in this world? How can we, kind of build bridges instead of more division and create ripples of change of you walk into the room and that one person that's really joyful, you're like, I feel so much better after talking to them. And, you could be like totally different kind of people, but you're just like, I don't know, it's just something about them. I don't know what it is. There's a ripple there, because we're making a ripple every single day. If you're like really mad or sad or scared, you get scared with that ripple. You're like, I talk to my mom sometimes. I love you, Mom. You're the best if you're listening to this. But sometimes there's like a fear ripple that can happen from that.
Sure.
And then there's totally like joy ripples as well.
Nice. I love that.
Yeah.
Very cool. Before we get in too deep, what is the last song you listened to? This is something we ask everyone.
Oh, I love this. I was thinking about that. I don't know. I haven't listened to any music today, but I have been singing around the house today. And for some reason, it's been Little Mermaid. I was just walking around the house, like, look at this stuff. Isn't it neat?
I love that.
A little like musical of one by myself.
Nice. I'll take it.
Yeah.
Love. Cool. My last song was the Steve Aoki remix of Happen to Me by Russell Dickerson. I'm very into that song right now. So love that.
I love other people are listening to it. So good.
Yeah. Have you ever played We're Not Really Strangers?
No.
Okay. Pick a number between 1 and 15.
12.
12. Okay. Oh, I feel like this is a really good one for you, actually. What has been your favorite age so far?
Oh, wow. That's a great one. For a very long time, actually, it was 12. I like up until the last couple of years, there was like a strange thing that happened in my childhood where when I was 12, I had this random year where I was just very confident, which I know is not typical for middle schoolers.
Not a 12-year-old.
Amy Unleashed. I would walk in the middle of class and do a dinosaur impression, very loud, not just she's cute, she's being with alarms, screaming at the top of my lungs in the middle of class, and would just be I don't know, screaming and it just dancing and giggling and putting stickers all over it. And I don't know, it's this one little blip, and I don't know, I hold that year very fondly in my memory, wow, that one year where I really knew who I was. And I remember that was one year where I always said, every year, people what do you want to be when you grow up? And it would always be something I want to be an author or a doctor or what do I people want me to say? And that year I said, I want to be a talk show host like Ellen, because I used to love watching Ellen. And I'm wow, that's pretty funny. That's the closest I think I ever got to what adult Amy is like now.
That's awesome. I love that. So we live in a really challenging world right now, and I think your message can help a lot of people, even if it's just a reminder to check in with ourselves as we're heading into the new year. So I kind of want to get into your journey. So you talked a little bit in the beginning of the book about how your journey was sparked by a struggle with social anxiety, depression, and some health issues, and it kind of ultimately led to burnout. And I feel like this is something a lot of people can really recognize in themselves. What did this moment look like for you when you decided to make a change and kind of start this journey?
Yeah, I mean, I wish that there was just like that one, like shining star moment where I was like, this is the moment that the change happens. And then I,
Yeah,
made a change and I never, like went back to my old habits. But I think a lot of us probably can resonate with like, there's a lot of
sure.
little moments where we're like, yeah, I can hear that voice that says something needs to change. But do I change? No. You just keep doing
Yeah,
it. Then it gets louder and louder. And I think the louder and louder was happening in lots of different ways. The health issues that start happening, like that's no coincidence. All of these
right.
things are also interrelated. The brain body connection of your mental health is getting worse and your physical health is getting worse because you can't digest things when you're completely dysregulated all the time. And when you're not
Sure.
digesting things, you have no energy, and then your adrenals are burnt out because you're like, I'm just trying to like burn the candle at both ends and like try to earn my sense of worthiness in this world by what I'm doing, and also doing all of the things that I think I should be doing rather than what I actually want to be doing, because I just want to be lovable. And I think if I do all the things that people want me to do, even though no one's even saying this to me, we all just like kind of absorb these through
Yeah,
osmosis,
yeah,
and I was just getting, sicker and sicker, which that was honestly, I hate to say, that was like one of the main things where I was like, wow, I am like in my mid-20s and I feel awful. Really like was physically struggling, which sends you on a path to seek when Western medicine is like, you're perfectly healthy, there's nothing wrong with you, and you're like, no, something's got to change here. So you
yeah,
start looking all over the place, at least if you're me. I'm like,
sure.
we're not settling for this. There was that little flicker of hope within that always said, it gets better. Like it gets so much better. You're meant for so much more. There was always this really strong connection to purpose my whole life. And it was really, I guess, awful. Like it was this awful like thing. I would literally cry myself to sleep and I'd be like, I don't know what my purpose is. Am I the
Yeah,
one person that doesn't have a gift or purpose? Like who is it? Woe is me? And I would like read all these books and try and like think my way through it, doing all like these quizzes and being like, according to my calculations, like this, and not realizing that my purpose wasn't in, I don't know, trying harder and like crunching and doing and trying to perform to be someone other than myself. It was in letting go of a lot of that and healing and doing all of that. And there was one
sure.
moment where it was actually the day before the pandemic hit. I used to work at a grade school, and we
Mhm.
had a particularly rambunctious group of kindergartners that year.
Yeah,
And there's one that's biting my arm on this side, and there's another kid that's trying to get this kid that's biting my arm, and I'm like holding this kid back with my other arm, and I'm like, like kind of like keeping them away from each other so they don't just like absolutely, destroy each other. And I remember having this moment where I silently like look up at the ceiling, and I'm just like, God, help me. And then the next day the whole country shut down.
Jesus
I was
Christ.
like, oh, Amy, be careful what you wish for. So but that space that I actually got of, because in that moment I was still really struggling with like social anxiety and all of these things, and
Yeah,
suddenly it was like everything was like taken off my plate. It's like you can't go into work for the next 2 weeks and then 2 weeks, and you know how that went.
yeah,
And something about that spaciousness, honestly, of removing the constant like needing to do stuff, it allowed me this space to breathe and say, whoa, I actually completely want to change my life. And then I
yeah,
turned to my partner at the time and I said, do you want to sell all of our stuff and move into a van with our cat? Like I've always wanted to do. And like that was just a dream of mine. And then that just kind
yeah,
of, I think, led down this path of doing one thing, then the next, and the next, that was actually aligned with what I wanted to be doing. And, that were like simultaneously scary and so exhilarating. Like that,
yeah,
oh my God, I've been dreaming of this, and following my joy is really what I started calling it. Of I'm just gonna do, whatever it is that sparks that joy, like in big ways and little ways. And
sure.
obviously it was a very tumultuous ups and downs and heartbreak and
Yeah,
all of the things in there. I just turned into like a wacky inflatable tube man in that.
I love it.
Yeah.
So, wait, so did you actually end up moving into a van for a little bit, or?
Oh yeah, we lived in a
Oh,
van
fuck yeah.
for a year and a half. It was
That's
great.
so cool. I
It
love
was
that.
like I think it was like a little cocoon for me of like the Amy that walked into the van and like walked out of the van for the last time, were two very different people, because I mean, you just change your environment and like the people that you're with and how your day, like your habits are constantly changing, that
Yeah.
it's a highway to changing into maybe who you want to be if you are really like growth oriented, but definitely you're going to become a new person, and you're really gonna have an opportunity to be very grateful. Like to this day, it's been 4 or 5 years since, that whole time. And
Yeah.
like literally on the regular, I'm like, wow, I don't have to think about where my water comes from. There's like, I can take a shower every single day if I want to.
Yeah.
I can like, I don't know, like all of these little things that we take for granted, like when we just live in a normal house, it's like so nice to just be very appreciative of these really micro little things that I think honestly does help just fill that little joy cup of like, wow, okay, there's a lot of things that are going really well right now, actually.
Yeah. But I think there is something to be said for like this idea of like it comes to like from cocooning for some people, but I think like there's like this thing of like I just have to shed like all of the stuff, and like I have to like do something because like I need some kind of like radical fundamental change in my life, and like it's like it forces you to get back to basics almost, right? Where it's like I think I think it was Casey Rose Wilson on Bitch Sesh was her podcast, and she was talking about how like I think it was shortly after her mom passed, and I could be telling the story completely wrong, like, but what I remember is like she went into her closet for like 2 weeks, and she's really good friends with like June Diane Raphael, and like June Diane was like, I'm very worried about you, like, and then she like came out like a different person, like it's like the butterfly emerges a little bit. So I think there's probably something to that. And it's I think Marie Kondo, because you said sparking joy, and like Marie Kondo's whole thing is like you have to let go of the stuff. Like you have to like we have to like simplify our space, and it has to like come to a place of like almost breaking everything down to its simplest form, and like getting back to like, okay, how do we get somewhere with like what we know we have to work with. So what did like the earliest versions of like this iteration of finding joy look like for you, like after you came out of living in a van?
Yeah. Okay. First off, I love that metaphor of it as like letting go of the stuff, like Marie Kondo's like physical stuffy stuff, but there's, emotional, mental, all the other stuff. I'm like, I haven't really, I don't think like connected that exact dot. And I love that. That's like so true that there, like I literally was like getting rid of all the physical stuff and all of like the masks and like old identities and just parts of me that I like, a part of me is like, this isn't you, like just let go. And to the radical changes allows it to be a little easier sometimes to be like,
well, and the emotional mental noise, I think Bethany Frankel in her book, A Place of Yes, called it like, it's like food noise and like money noise and like all the noise. So like, I think your metaphor is perfect. And like, I think I just associated it with like real stuff, but like, your stuff, like your mental stuff is probably a lot heavier than like the physical stuff you're carrying around. So I mean, for sure the noise or the mental stuff, however you want to call it. Yeah, for sure. Like you have to get rid of that.
All of that. And I mean, I'm like thinking like, it's like you're wanting to like almost reach towards something new sometimes in certain chapters. Like, but if you're holding on to like these old bags back here and you're like, I don't know why I can't grab this new thing that I want. You're like, you gotta let go of the old bag. You gotta let go of it, Amy. You can't bring it into the new one. You're like, we all have those moments time and time again where we're like, I don't want to let go. And then you do like, oh wow, it's such a beautiful like release of a moment, but that limbo very uncomfortable in between. Like I just let go of this bag and I haven't reached the new one yet. What is happening?
For sure.
But this like after that moment, I actually the moment of leaving the van was a pretty huge the big life change, I'd say, of my life, where I broke up with my partner of 11 years, and it was like a very sudden just like moment of clarity that I had. He's an incredible, amazing human. To this day, I'm just like, wow, you're great. We were about to get married in like 9 months, and that's just something I was like, wow, you're not my person. You're an incredible human, just not my person. And like pretty much overnight, I went from we're living together, like planning all the things, to oh my god, what am I doing? I have to go. And I just literally had my friend like drop me off in the middle of the redwoods with like a backpack full of stuff. And I was just like walking through the redwoods, like crying every day, like, what am I doing with my life?
Yeah.
I'm like, I just lost my like partner, my cat, my community, my job, all of the things. Like, what am I doing? And but also feeling, I don't know, almost like a movie character. I think a little bit of like, whoa, I'm about to start a grand new adventure. There's like this hero's journey, I think, that I'm really stepping into that feels like it's divine timing almost of, all right, like do it. And there's pressure there of like, wow, I literally just let go of everything. Like I have to make a choice. Like I burned all my bridges. There's nowhere to go back to right now. Like I have to move forward. There's no looking back. There's no holding on to any comfort because I literally just burnt it all to the ground, basically, in a kind way. But there just wasn't any going back to it, which it was a painful thing, but it was really like a beautiful awakening moment of, okay, what would bring me joy right now? And that was the moment where I was like, wow, for the past 7 or 8 years, I've said, I want to be a yoga teacher. I'd been dreaming of it. I'd been sat in so many different yoga classes. And like, wow, that just seems really incredible. Like I was totally pedestaling all of my yoga teachers, being like, they are like a different species. I don't know how I would ever do that.
I feel the same way though, honestly. Like anytime I go to a yoga class, I'm like, who is this wonderful creature talking to me? Like,
right? I'm like, are they just like angels, like descended down? Like who are they? Who am I to think that I could, become one of those? So I said, so I looked online and I found one that I was like, wow, that one seems really resonant with me. I booked a one-way ticket and just, pretty much, long story short, started booking one-way tickets after that because I got to this yoga teacher training and day one I said, whoa, I don't think I'm actually meant to be a yoga teacher, but it was this like full body chills. I'm meant to be here in this seat right now. And whatever I'm learning here, which I think was really just a comfort zone of learning to share my voice, because my journey of like, I'm so scared to say anything to anyone. I have horrible social anxiety. Like, I'm just going to like zip it and like never be heard to, God, the universe, whatever you want to call it, being like, hey, here's a little, journey of, you can be a yoga teacher. Because as you're teaching yoga, you're moving around the room, you're breathing, you're like regulating your nervous system. You got like a, like a format of like, these are the things that you're saying to the people, it's like pretty rhythmic. And I fell in love with it. And I was like, I just want to do this all the time. And then I started teaching yoga and I was like, up there, and I just wanted to get people dancing. So then I'd kind of like I called it floga, and I'd get people like dancing on the mat a little bit. And then from there, I was like, I just want to get people playing. And it just kind of was this whole, I don't know, very, I feel like a lot of times in life, growth is, slower. But for whatever reason, this one year, it was like, I don't know if it was just like backlogged and all of a sudden there was like rocket fuel and it was like, every month I was just like, I don't know who I'm going to be. I'll be in Bali next month teaching at a yoga teacher training. And then I'll, be like learning the ukulele. And now I'm a singer and I like lead song circles. And I was just like doing all of these different things and following my joy along the whole way, being absolutely terrified very constantly, but also having like the highest of highs in the most like grounded, wholesome way. Not like a, I don't know, like a drug, kind of like, oh my God, like, kind of like, but.
Well, no, I think you were probably experiencing flow state where it's like, okay, like I'm like, there's like confidence, right? That like you're gaining from like, okay, like I can share my voice, like my voice is valid. And then like, I think you were building momentum. I don't think it was, I mean, it could have like backlogged maybe, but like, I think more so is like, it's like, oh, I can do this. Let's fucking go. Like,
the fact that you called it a flow state, I love that. I don't know if you know Dr. Stuart Brown. He's done a lot of research on play, and I don't even know how he's been doing it for decades, and he's found like fascinating stuff. He wasn't, I don't think, even like trying to get into the work of play. He was just kind of like researching, I think, prisoners, and then he found this like fascinating statistic somehow, and like by interviewing all of them, that almost all of them that had like committed horrific crimes of like murdering people, like those like really like, wow, like, almost all of them barely played as children. Like almost all of them had like no ability or experience to do that in their childhood. And then he was like, what's going on here? And so, it kind of like led into the curiosity of like, dig deeper. And now, he's got the whole like National Institute of Play, and, just like all of his research is dedicated to how is this really beneficial for not just kids, but also adults? And like, what is this doing for our brain? And one of the ways that he describes play is also really similar to flow, of like where time just ceases to exist and you're totally absorbed in what you're doing. And then he adds on with play. It's also like there's a sense of purposelessness to it. It's not like I'm trying to get this thing done or, get like some result out of it. It's just for the sake of it and the sake of the enjoyment and the beauty of it. And it's a fascinating thing because we do really grow so much. And I'm like, I think it takes 400 times to like repeat a new action to create that new neural pathway of like, oh, okay, this is the new habit. And when you're playing while you're doing it, it reduces it by like, I don't know, you 10 to 20 times doing that thing. Then you're like, yep, this is in my bones, because it's like all of those neurochemicals in your brain and the neuroplasticity are just like, yes, we want to learn new things in this state. Whatever we're doing in this, we're just like, yeah, that's the new me. And so it really is just a highway to becoming a new version of yourself. And it's just great because it also is fun.
Oh yeah. I want to go back to the yoga thing for a second, because so I've talked a lot on the podcast about like how I don't do organized religion. Like it's just not a thing for me because I don't like it. But like when I go to a yoga class, that's probably the closest I've ever felt to like what people describe going to church to be. So like, I guess my question is like, how did yoga shape your approach? Because I think we can get into the woo woo of all of it, like whatever, but like, I think there is something pretty transformative about like forcing yourself to stop and just like listen to your voice, listen to your body. And like, there's like a whole, like, I mean, there is science behind like the mind body connection, but there's also something very spiritual about it. Like, how did that kind of shape your approach?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm not one for like any organized religion personally, but I am a very woo and spiritual person, I guess you would say. Yeah. So I definitely have like a deep connection to like that ineffable essence that's beyond what any of us could ever imagine, but not like I don't know, kind of like this is the rules and regulations.
Yeah.
But if you that floats your boat, that's totally fine by me.
Sure.
And yoga it was like holding hands with a lot of other like spiritual like things that I was reading. I was just kind of in this season of like, whoa, like what is going on in the universe? I'm going to read all of the things and listen to all of the podcasts and just be very curious about all of it. And I think yoga really helped open me to just like presence, like just like being in the presence of it, I think that there's in like Western world, we're really like, we fill every second of every day with like thoughts or doing or da 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 da. And there really is something to, whoa, what if I just did nothing and I just stopped and I just sat with the breath and I sat with whatever came up and and it was okay. And the world didn't implode and close around me, and the deep moments of connection that can come through that and in a million other ways. But I think that yoga can be a really beautiful bridge to having those moments of connection. You're like, wow, when there's so much noise, I think it's harder for us to feel there's something bigger than all of us. And sometimes I'm like, wow, like I'm so grateful for like this connection that I feel so deeply in my bones to something greater than all of us. Because I'm like, wow, I think life would just be really freaking hard without it. And yoga absolutely was a part of that path of getting back into touch and re-healing that connection to that. Because I definitely had like a lot of like God wounds and like church wounds of being like, the like don't ask questions and that just like put a really bad taste in my mouth. But when I think back to like little kid Amy, I always had a really deep sense of like there's something beyond all of this that didn't exactly fit the languaging of that I was being taught. But I was like wanting to ask questions that wasn't really allowed. So I was like, this is not for me. But it gave a different avenue of exploration to saying, wow, there is something beyond all of this. And that was one of the keys and tools that I found to finding my purpose, which I think all of our purpose is just to like be ourselves, like our truest self. And obviously from that space, there is a doing, like, there's things that create from us being ourselves. But at the end of the day, it's like we as souls, whoever it is that we came here to be, came here to create some puzzle piece. I always call it a puzzle piece. Like there's a huge puzzle in the world, and every single person has one puzzle piece. And it's kind of like our purpose and our job, in my perspective, to figure out, oh, this is who my puzzle piece is through who I am. And when I am that, then I can automatically start to find pieces of like people that are puzzle pieces around me, and we start to kind of click and create something new together that we couldn't on our own, and that we couldn't if we were trying to be someone else, or trying to, like there's some other people that I'm like, wow, I'm so glad that you love doing that, because that is so not how anything in this operates. But also there's a puzzle piece that I hold that I'm like, wow, for other people, they're like, wow, that makes me want to spoon my eyeballs out if I think about holding a microphone on the streets of downtown and like walking around getting people dancing. Absolutely not. But it's like my favorite freaking thing in the world. But if I also, hadn't let go of all of the masks and the fears and all of the things, I never would have discovered that. And yoga was like a stepping stone in the path of discovering what that is. And now I kind of call it more like joy. I feel like the leading people into experiences of joy, of being in that light, in that presence. For me, I'm like, I'm not a person of like, any one way is like the way for any person. Like, you know what? Some people are going to resonate with what I have to say and some people won't. And that's perfect. That's how I know I'm doing my job right. I'm like, take what resonates, leave the rest. You are empowered to like pick what floats your boat at any point in time. But if, being in a space of joy reminds you of who you really are, if you feel more connected to like, whoa, this is me. And that shines a light on what you want to create in this world, who you want to be. If it helps you just like remember that little anchor into, whoa, right, there's something like deeper inside of me that I feel more connected to. If it's like a why for what you want to create in the world or whatever it is, that's kind of the whole purpose, like deeper beyond, I guess, just spreading joy of like, I want sunshine and rainbows.
For sure. Every good yoga class I've ever been to, because I don't know that I've ever been to a bad one, but like the ones that really stand out to me are like the ones where I almost call the yoga teacher the professor, my yoga professor. but where the yoga teacher was like, yeah, take what serves you, and like if this doesn't feel right to you, don't do it. And like I think there's something there, because I think this like, and I think it comes back to like what we were saying earlier about like you were in the flow state where like I think this thing of like, okay, like connecting to yourself and like getting back into like the core of you, it like really opens you up to like, okay, like what comes next almost. Because I think that you're like, when you're like defining that sense of, I'm kind of making this up as I go, but like when you're defining like that sense of, like the foundation of you, like I think it opens you up to like, okay, like what more can I do? What else can I do? Because like I want to keep chasing this like feeling, but it's not like chasing the dragon, because you're building something. Like does that
oh no, absolutely. Like, I feel like to me what I'm hearing you say is almost describing this skill of discernment that we have to build along that way, because there's like comes this point where you're like, oh my god, no one else is gonna and can tell me, not even like a guru or whatever you want to say, like no one can tell me what is the next step for me except for me. What? That's like exhilarating, and that's also really terrifying. And we get build like, because no one teaches us this for the most part of this is what like a yes feels like, and this is what a no feels like, and this is, and like, so we just do it basically like trial and error, and it's messy, and it's like throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing what sticks, and you do that and you're like, wow, okay, that's what it feels like when I do it something and it's actually a no, and I don't want to do that. So like, we're gonna fine tune, getting able to kind of slow down sometimes, because I think sometimes we can overthink also and be like, oh my god, like I don't want to make the wrong choice, and I'm gonna like make all the pro and con lists, and I'm gonna think about it for the next 42 days and all the things, and the answers are all definitely within, and there's no shape to that. I definitely have them still. I'm thinking of a decision right now that I've been doing that with, and I'm like, wow, okay, Amy, make a choice.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I think if we could teach that in schools younger, this is like let's like hold people's hands of learn how to know what a yes is and a no is, so that you can understand, actually, this is my next step and this is not. And obviously there's so many other complicated things, because, when somebody says like, actually your no is a yes and your yes is a no, and this isn't a safe space, and, then it gets all complicated, and there's a lot of courage and all kinds of things in there.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
So I kind of want to talk about like, so we've a lot of this comes to like learning a lot about yourself, and I think with learning, like, there's also the growing. But something that that I think a lot of people are gonna like listen to this or watch this, like however they consume it, and they're gonna say is like, okay, so like this is something for kids, right? Like, we're like, play is something we associate with childhood, and you talked about how like these like violent criminals, like the thing that they pretty consistently didn't do as children was play. So like as we grow up, we kind of stop playing and we lose that sense of like wonder and like childhood and imagination or whatever. What else do we lose when we like stop playing as grown-ups?
Yeah, I mean, there's so much. I think that there absolutely is some correlation because we're the burnout, like huge wave sensation that's sweeping the nation right now.
Yeah.
It's like everyone and their mother and brother are like, wow, I'm burnt out. And, it's like no one used to talk about that. And I'm definitely have burnt out myself enough times. And I think that there's like more and more and more that we keep having to put on our plates almost, and I think part of that sometimes in my experience also is there becomes the like 72 item to-do list of like self-care things that you also need to start doing now in addition to all of your work things, in addition to like trying to have a life, but like, you're, and then like also sleeping and all of these things. And when we start to play that, like when we're not playing, we lose these like deep social bonds, like, because we're also the loneliness epidemic. We're all like so isolated. There is so much depth of connection, and so like kids, they become friends like that because there's lots of different reasons, but one of the reasons is they start playing together and they're just immediately like laughing and giggling. And I used to travel the world, and it would shock me where I would meet people that, we don't speak the same language, but we do laugh in the same language because it's like just human nature to be like, wow, you're laughing. Like I'm laughing too. I don't even really know what you're laughing about, but because you're laughing, I'm laughing. And almost having these silly, playful moments I would have with people because I don't know, I'm very like animated in how I talk. So I would kind of amp it up to try and communicate with people that I don't know. And then all of a sudden you're having this moment, you're like, wow, I actually feel connected to, and we haven't even really exchanged any words yet. And that started planting these little seeds of, oh, there's something really here. And then you start looking at the research, and it's just like the neurochemicals and all of the things, it's like you get all this like oxytocin and dopamine and serotonin and endorphins, and all of this helps regulate your emotions. It really helps strengthen your bonds. So the people that you're already in relationship with, you feel closer to them. And because you feel closer to them, you can feel more courageous in your life. There's like so much to that of when you feel alone, it's like it almost like stacks the negativity. When you feel like you have like a tribe behind you, even if they're not physically with you, you can feel a lot more bravery to do the things that you really want to do, but that feel really scary because you're like, okay, I got people that are behind me. And it's also, it really helps us become a new version of ourselves. We really like, there's obviously, it's just like, it's nice to play, to like feel joyful and like connective, but it also is a really beautiful way for us to start stepping into a new identity of ourselves. Of like, it kind of helps just like make our brain, that malleable neuroplasticity is like amped up, and you're like, all right, I'm priming myself to have a better day, to have better connections. Like we're constantly priming ourselves, like little tiny things. Like you could have like a negative conversation with someone in the morning, and that's priming you to have more negative conversations throughout the day. There was like a study that was done with like a cup of coffee. It was a cup of coffee. This one blew my mind. They handed a stranger, half of them got a hot cup of coffee, half of them got a cold cup of coffee. And then they, they were like, oh, excuse me, could you hold this while I tie my shoe? And then they would, tie their shoe, and then they'd be like, thank you so much. And they'd walk away. And then 10 minutes later, another person walked up and said, would you mind if I read you a story for 1 minute, and then you just like answered like a couple questions about it in this study that we're doing? And they were like, sure. And the people who got handed the hot cup of coffee 10 minutes before to hold, just holding a hot cup of coffee, were way more likely to say that the main character was like warm, nice, like he was like funny, he was charismatic. And the people who got the cold cup of coffee a few minutes before said that he was like I don't know, like unkind, and he was impatient, and all of these like much more negative attributes. I'm like, wow, that's literally just a cup of freaking coffee that we're holding. And obviously, it's like all I'm sure of other factors, but there's so much that I think if we just lean into playing a little more, even just in our relationships, I think that there's so much that I've learned about, I'm very into like, let's like communicate vulnerably, like with our emotions, and like it can get so serious, but if you bring a little sense of playfulness to something, it just makes so many conversations so much more like connective. People start to feel safe when you're feeling like, oh, whoa, like this isn't this like really serious thing that you're bringing like a sense of levity to it, in a sense of, oh wow, like I can actually take this harder thing that you're telling me right now a lot better. And obviously, there's a line to toe with that.
Yeah. So I guess let's talk about that line. So like, and like how this applies to the real world. You've got, consumer confidence is not great right now. You've got the economy that, it is hard for like the everyday person to like survive in this economy. You've got you've got a presidential administration who is hell-bent on punishing everyone that's not completely loyal to them, and it's making, and beyond like government, like you've got you've got violence that's not great right now. You've got like, it's every single day on the news. It's like it's like a barrage of like, oh my Christ, what is coming next? Like what is actually happening in the world? And like, that's all very real. And like, so for someone who's like dealing with that, and like, I think a lot of people are more sensitive to it than others. Like, how does someone that's like really dealing with like the impacts of like all that, and how like the societal implications of all that, how does someone invite play into their life when they're like, look what's going on? And my Christ, Australia last like what, 3 days ago, like how do you do that? Like,
absolutely. I want to say, like, first off, I was completely that person for a very long time that was absolutely totally swept up in the overwhelm of all of it, and just feeling quite frankly hopeless. Just like, what is the point of all of this? Like, how do we even do any of this? And that was like pushing me to a point, because it's like, part of me, I guess, was feeling hopeless, and a part of me deeply has always felt this sense of like, no, there is hope. I don't know what it is. There is hope. And I think that's just like a beautiful, deeper part of me that I can connect to. But, there's always been those moments that I can definitely deeply resonate with. And I can definitely say that when I tune in to people that are like overwhelmed by it, it's because they care. Like, you deeply care. You deeply like care, and probably can feel a lot of what's going on in the world. You feel like mad and frustrated and like out of control, like like a sense of like, what am I supposed to do? And first off, like, we're literally not designed to be able to know, like, our nervous systems weren't designed to know like what is going on in my community, what is going on in Australia, what is going on like in every single corner of the world, and then simultaneously get barraged with it, like during all of our waking hours. Like, we're literally not designed for that. So I think the first step that's really helpful to me is to design my phone, because it's designed in like my screen life, like kind of make a moment in your day where you can get informed, and have at least one day a week where you're not informed, where you're like, I'm either off screens, or like, I am checked out from like I am just a human freaking being, and I'm not like because I think that that's also part of our responsibility. I think that because we care so much, we want to create a new world. I think we can all agree that we're like, we want things to change, and we have a vision of, I want things to look like this. I dream of a world where we can all get along together. I dream of a world where we can create, climate change regulations and all of these other different environmental things, where people can just be like safe walking in the streets, being themselves, where like we're not bombing people, all of these things. But if I'm in a state of fear, I know I know from a fact that I will not create any of those things in the world, because I don't, like, personally, I don't think any of us really have the power to be like, yes, this will change, but we do have power in like our immediate communities, and the change that we can, like, this is where like kind of the ripple effect starts to come in of, okay, I can't change what's happening on a macro level in this world. Like, that's just not something that I'm responsible for. I can change what's happening in my community right here. And we each get to, hold our own puzzle piece. But the more that we say, okay, I can there's a difference between selfish and self first. One of my mentors, she taught me this, and it was hugely revolutionary for me. She's like, selfish people, they don't know what they need to fill their cup. They have a void, and they're just like, I'm going to take anything and everything to try and like fill this void. And I don't know what it is. Self first people, they're like, actually, this is what I need to fill my cup, because I know I can't put your oxygen mask on if mine's not on first. If my cup isn't overflowing, I'm actually not going to be that helpful out in the world. So if we like can kind of start to understand, wow, if I'm prioritizing my joy and my play, that I am not being selfish. I'm actually just seeing I can make way more impact if I'm in a resource space versus if I'm spiraling in fear, if I'm spiraling in confusion, if I'm like, and all of these overwhelm kind of things. It's a lot harder to think straight, to take action from these spaces, to be grounded, and then on a more like spiritual woo-woo kind of level, to just embody the version of the world that we want. Like, I think that there really is something to that of like, okay, I'm gonna like walk in the world and like be the version of myself in this world that I wish other people would also do that too, and kind of embody that, go first, be the leader that goes first. And a lot of that starts to circle back to our screens, because they're designed to be addictive. And it's really hard because our work, our social life, all of it kind of revolves around it. So having ways where you're kind of curating your feed. So maybe there's like some place where you go to get informed, but maybe it's not like if you're using social, I think social media is great. I think it's a great tool. We get to learn things that like we would never learn about. It also has a lot of really negative, not so cool things. So, if you can curate your feed to be things that actually fill your cup and like inspire you and like make you feel creative, or if you want to use it as, like kind of like decide, where is it that you want to get informed? How is that? Use that little corner to do that. If you're like, media is for connecting, use it like that, curate it like that, unfollow things that you're like, actually, this makes me feel like shit. Like this makes me feel like doom and despair. And then with that, I have this thing. I'm not sponsored by it. It just has really helped me. It's called a brick. It's a little device that you get, and it has an app that's connected to your phone, and you basically like can like boop your phone to this little brick thing, and based on whatever settings you put on the app on your phone, it like blocks all of the things until you go back to it again. So like I can like go on my phone right now, and I can't get on Instagram, I can't get on TikTok, I can't get on YouTube, which is also like helpful for, if you're just trying to like focus. But we all have like just the absent minded. We've all caught ourselves being like, wow, I don't remember picking up my phone. I don't remember like opening this app, but I'm definitely sitting here scrolling, and I am now doom scrolling. Yeah. And it's helpful to kind of like pause that kind of thing, to kind of, get it from both ends of give yourself that big why. Why do you want to create a better world? And that helps fuel you to say, okay, my joy is so important in this world. I know this world is absolutely crazy, and it's like the most radical freaking act to say the world is freaking falling apart around me. And I'm going to say, okay, and joy matters, because if I could even like connect to somebody that I actually disagree with hugely on big things, but if I can connect with them on a human way, in a joyful way, before they were like even like about to like go into like a meeting, say, they would most likely, like studies show, make different choices in that room than if they're like, I'm all pissed off and I'm whatever that is. Like you just make different choices in those two different, we all do. Like every single human makes a different choice often when they're in a pissed off state than when they're in a joyful state.
Well, I think this kind of brings me to my next point, where like, the science is there have been real studies on this, where like it's like this idea of like joy or flow state, or like whatever we're calling it, because I think this shows up differently for different people. Like it shows that people end up having more effective coping mechanisms. They have better like improved physical and mental health outcomes. Like, and then there's just like on a scale of it, there's just like a greater overall satisfaction with like your life.
Yeah.
So I mean, the body and the nervous system really reacts to exactly what you're talking about. I completely agree with you.
Yeah. And and like we can like chicken and egg it a little bit, like I think I definitely have caught myself being like, wow, I'll be happy when, I'll be joyful when I will, like, and like when my environment's different, when I think we can all start playing that game, like till the day we die pretty much. And think that joy is something that will like knock on our door, or that it is like, well, I can't be joyful because of this. I can't. And understanding, at least for myself, I personally think that like there is a moment of, okay, joy isn't always going to be knocking on my door. Like life is going to be lifing, life is going to be chaotic. There's going to be things that happen, but I can choose how I move through different moments and the meaning that I give different moments. And, because you can like kind of frame how you're seeing things and understanding, wow, okay, if I'm, not that we have to be joyful all the time. Like I'm a big, like I feel all the emotions. It's when people are like, are you sure? I'm like, yes, I do. I'm a big feeler. I got a lot of big feels.
Yeah.
But I also am big proponent of the joy gym, I call it. It's like you go to the gym to like build your like muscles. It's like we haven't been practicing our joy muscles. We have to practice.
Yeah.
What is it like to choose joy when I'm not feeling like it? When I feel bored or sad or stressed or am in a worry spiral or I'm overwhelmed. I can't even tell you the number of times that I have looked like a little sad sack, like dragging my giant speaker to downtown being like, oh, I don't want to do this. I'm not feeling very, and then I'm like, no, like we committed to this, like that's very helpful. But like, and then noticing, okay, within like 3 to 5 minutes, I feel like a completely different person of just singing and dancing with a bunch of people and just having a joyful time and setting the intention. I just want to like make someone's day right now. I just want to spread some joy right now.
Well, and I think that like there's kind of this there's something to be said for like just go do it. Like just go do it. It's the same thing with like going to the gym where it's like right now I'm trying to teach myself how to swim, and it's like, and it's been an ongoing journey, and it's like there are days where it's like, do I actually want to get in this pool and have this man at like in the middle of Lifetime Fitness watching me like flounder around in the water? And then it's like, just go do it. Just go do it. Like, and like you feel better at the end of it. And like there's like when you start to prioritize, like, okay, like, and I think you're to your point of like you committed to yourself to do this, because like you're not like answering to like a board of directors saying, yeah, I'm gonna go take a speaker downtown and I'm gonna like dance in like on the corner of like of Meridian and Washington and like go do this. No, but like there is something to be said of like, no, I said I'm going to do this and I'm going to do it because I know at the end of the road, like I'm going to feel good about it. So I think there's 100% like something there too. Yeah, you gotta, I mean, it isn't just like, I'm like the spark's always going to be there. You just kind of have to do it. Like,
absolutely. And there like really is something of like, what do you have to lose? Like if you're already feeling like not so good and then you do it and you still feel not so good, like, all right, whatever. But like if you do it and you do feel, wow, I feel even like 50% better, not like my full best self, but like that's a huge win.
Yeah. So for the besties that are listening right now out there that are like exhausted with like everything we've got going on in the world and everything that like every responsibility that like every person has, I guess, what is the first step like to like in this journey?
I mean, there's so many steps. I'm like, who knows what anyone's like, there's not like any like one way of this is the first step. But honestly, a really huge thing for me, I know that it can feel counterintuitive, but personally in my schedule, I like to plan something fun before I fill every other second of my day in my calendar, because I will do that. Yeah. Like I will put all the little boxes in my Google Calendar until there's like 0 spaces left.
I'm the same way. Yeah.
Right. So saying, okay, before all of the little spaces are gone, can I prioritize my joy and my play? Can I say, okay, like I'd like to go to choir, or I like to go to dance this time, or I want to like invite my friends over this night for a potluck, or whatever it is that you like to do. There's no one right or wrong answer. And if you're like, I don't even remember what I like, Amy. I don't know what brings me joy. I mean, the quintessential thing of what did you love doing as a kid? It doesn't have to be tit for tat. You know, if you're like, I liked playing, I don't know, Wizards in the Forest, you don't have to go play Wizards in the Forest. I don't know why that was first. I didn't play Wizards in the Forest, but maybe somebody listening is like, whoa.
Sure, I did. Like
I played Wizards.
I was Harry Potter. Yeah.
Maybe you don't need to do that exactly. You totally could. I think it'd actually be really fun. But maybe it's just like, oh, I could go for a hike. I could like go for a hike and look for a huge difference that I've made. I go on like a morning walk, and recently I started saying, okay, I'm going to go for this walk and I'm going to try and find 3 miracles. And it really has expanded what my definition of miracle is. That's for sure, because otherwise I'll be walking for all time if I'm looking for like, I don't know, a leprechaun to appear out of nowhere. But it really has expanded the way that I'm looking at the world and just noticing, wow, like I found like a little tiny eggshell that had like fallen out of a tree the other day. I'm like, wow, that's incredible. And it just creates a sense of awe and wonder. It doesn't have to be this whole big, like, I'm like Amy and I'm playing on the streets, but creating little pockets of joy that you can even stack onto, you know, little moments. I think I noticed for myself, even, you know, I'll be like ordering a coffee, say, and I'll be in, I don't know, I kind of have like 2 modes sometimes. Like one of them is like, Amy's big and she's expansive. And then other one's like focused productive mode. And I'll like notice I'll be ordering my coffee and I'm like kind of like already on to the next thing. And I'm not paying attention at all to this human in front of me. Or I'm like trying to like maximize my time, be like, let me scroll through my phone and like trying to answer an email while I'm like, you know, and recognizing that I can kind of use these pockets where it's like, 2 minutes of my day to say, okay, let me like take a deep breath and actually just connect with this person, like for 2 seconds. And it feels so great to actually just connect with human beings, like genuinely connect, not the, hey, how's it going? Good. How are you? You know, that like autopilot, like that's good too. You know, I love that too. But the like, you get curious about someone, like, or like be like, wow, like what's the story behind this jacket you're wearing? It's really interesting. Like, did you make that? Like, what's going on? Yeah, whatever it is, you know, just kind of allowing a moment to get out of your routine and take a deep breath, to rest, to see where we can work smarter, not harder, is also one, in terms of like the people that are feeling real burnt out. I'm learning a lot about that right now. I'm reading The One Thing in Essentialism. Whew, work smarter, not harder. There's something to that. That's like obviously a very different topic, but I'm learning we often fill our days with like little mini tasks that aren't actually moving the needle forward in the way that we think it is. There's like that one thing that we often avoid, and if we got that done, it would like move our productivity forward in a whole new level.
Nice. So something I've been, and I don't know if this has like bothered you to no end, like in this, like in our conversation, but something I've been very kind of intentional about is avoiding like defining what ways you can go about finding joy, because I think it does look different for everyone. Like, and that's something that like reading your book, I was like, there's a lot of stuff in here I'm simply never going to do. Like, but I was like, there is some, like, so you're going down to the middle of like an intersection, or not an intersection, but like a street corner, and you're doing like a dance, and I'm not going to do that, but I love that for you. But I'm like, oh, but I could do, like, I could like make a playlist for like people at work or like whatever. So I think there's something there that's like, you can take away a lot of things, but I think that there's something that you talked about in the book was like joyful risks, because some of it does feel like it's like, oh, like, can I take a jump? Can I do something? Can I like, I think it comes back to this thing of like, oh, what, like, how do I like find like this person that I'm meant to be? What is a joyful risk that you took where it like healed something in you, or like it kind of like changed you in some way?
So many, constantly, all the time. I recognize, I mean, I don't know if you've heard like the rejection therapy kind of thing going on on the internet, where people are like, I'm gonna like, I don't know, scribble all over my face with like a marker, and then I'm gonna like order my coffee and like do like a ridiculous thing and like see it, like just be like, oh wow, like people don't really care. Like most people are just like thinking,
really? Okay.
It's been like, it's like a fascinating thing. Or like this one woman, she like was doing that, and she somehow like it was like, I'm gonna like apply to like a bunch of, you know, colleges that I think I'll like never get into. And then she ended up like getting into like an Ivy League or something. And now she's got like a 7-figure business and she's like doing all these like crazy things at like 22. And we're like, whoa, it's wild. But there's like some similarities there I've recognized of leaning into joy. I think particularly sometimes when we are feeling so disconnected from each other and we are so isolated, it can feel risky. It can feel vulnerable. It can feel like, oh my gosh, like my comfort zone is not to do the joyful thing, like, because the joyful thing is pretty countercultural. Like it's not the norm for most people. And I think that's why it feels risky and vulnerable, you know, because it's not like, I don't think anything that would like most people be like offended by, for the most part, you know. I'm sure there's always, you know, the odd bird. They'll be like, I am already joyful. Those people are really humans to me when they say that to me. Like, cool. You don't seem like it, but it's all good.
Sure. Like, if you like it, I love it.
Yeah. You're joyful.
Nice.
Great. Job's done.
Cool.
Yeah. See you later. But there's I think that moment to notice, okay, like this is feeling like you look like in the sea of people, you know. I'm thinking like, I don't know, I go to like my co-working space where there's, you know, like 50 different people all just like zombies in front of their computer, and you know, you want to like create a connection, and you know, that risky moment that was like, okay, I'm gonna like try and like create a connection with a stranger right now. Like it feels like a social risk because they could say no. And like, we're all kind of scared of rejection and we want belonging. And there's so much less of that. I think that we don't like, we're not like consciously thinking like, I'm scared to do the joyful thing because I'm scared of rejection. And it seems a little scary to face a fear of non-belonging that lives deep within my body.
Yeah.
The more that we do it, the more that it feels more normal, and it like kind of expands our comfort zone, you know. And I think that's a huge way that I've just grown all along the whole journey of, I mean, I used to like, I would just like kind of make myself like do it all the time. Like I would literally, to the point where I would like wear my ukulele everywhere with me and like walk around singing and playing my ukulele. Just like being like, oh, people don't care. Like, yeah, nobody is like, oh my God, that woman is singing down the street with ukulele. We must like, I don't know, sing things to her.
Well, no, I think that like, I mean, people are going to look at that one of two ways. It's like they're either going to recognize like, oh, this person wants to add a little bit of joy to someone's day, or they're going to be like, look at that, like, look at her just like having a time. And I think either way you look at it is fine, because like, I think that like going back to the rejection therapy of like marking all over your face with like a Crayola marker, I'm simply not going to do that. But like at the same time, like if someone came up to me and like had marker all over their face, like I'd be like, okay. So, right? Like some of this stuff is just not that deep. And I think, yeah, like, or like it can feel like I'm like this like radical groundbreaking thing, and I'm like, okay, Diva, like mark on your face, like, because like I mean, if I like get into it, I'm like, yeah, this person probably needed to mark on their face with a marker because they were having a bad day and they're dealing with everything that's going on in the world. Like, and I think it like you get there somehow of like, whatever, like it's okay. Like,
going to be people, you know. I mean, there's Florida man out there, you know, doing all the Florida man stuff. So I'm like, comparatively, like we're not that strange.
Yeah, and I gotta tell you, like they're like, I'm just like. It's a sliding scale. I think Florida man is like the best one though, where it's like, yeah, he like that man's taking the cake, like he's doing it.
Yeah. Oh wow.
But
we were looking for an award. I don't know if anyone else was like competing for it, but you got it.
You got it. I have some rapid fire questions for you. You ready?
Yeah.
What's the number one song on your Joy playlist?
Oh, number one. Okay, well, in terms of like Joy playlists that I share out in the world, people love Who Let the Dogs Out. I didn't know it, but people love that song. They love it. Like if I play it in the streets, like people will like really gather and be like,
okay.
I did scare a group of I didn't realize it at the time. They were a bunch of teenage boys. I'm like, oh, they're gonna love this. And I was like, why are they looking scared of me? And then I realized when we saw them,
because they didn't know what the song was.
No, they didn't speak English. So
this
random woman comes up to them and is like barking.
Got it.
Like
Okay.
another language. I'm like,
Beautiful. Okay.
wow. Amy.
What are the first sorry. What are the first three words that come to mind when you hear the word joy?
Oh, uplifting, fun, inspirational.
Cool. What's something that made you smile this week?
Oh, something that made me smile this week. Let's see. Oh, I had a really sweet conversation with someone yesterday where they just like totally saw me. They just really saw like who I am and what I'm doing and like reflected it back, like to a point where I was like, I'm gonna literally start crying right now. Like this is so sweet.
I love it. Last one. If the besties on here listening take away just one thing from our conversation today, what do you want it to be?
Your joy makes a difference in this world. I know that sometimes it can feel like it doesn't and that it feels, I don't know, like it's all for nothing or for like selfish reasons, but that our joy, I truly do believe from like the bottom of my heart can slowly start to change the world. I really believe that it can create ripples of impact beyond what we can ever imagine, whatever we can see. Like, you can never even fathom what corners of the world, the ripple from the ripple from the ripple of something that you do in someone's day can create out there in the world. And that it's so worth it. It's so worth any like moments of like risk and fear and discomfort, or the discomfort of having to break old patterns of like being yourself and like ways that you're like, I don't want to be this overwhelmed or miserable or whatever it is version that I definitely am constantly still breaking to this day. It's not always comfy, but whew, it's worth it.
I love it. This has been really fun. I've actually really enjoyed talking to you. Like it's been a wild week, and like I'm glad that like we got here. Tell the people where they can find you.
Yeah, you can find me at my website, livejoyfullyu.com. You can find the first 10 pages to my book for free on there. If you're like, I don't know if I want to go the full shabuzi and buy it on Amazon, you're like, I'm going to try it out. You can get it there for free and it'll go to your inbox. And if you're watching, this is the new cover. I had to make a new cover so that it could go into bookstores because I didn't realize there were certain things and regulations. It's a first time author that now I know.
Oh yeah,
but it's slightly different as you might see from your copy.
Nice.
It literally just came in yesterday. But yeah, you can get this on Amazon. Or if you're like, social media is my jam, at the Amy Dickens on all the socials. You can find me just being an absolute goof. If you're like, I need to totally revamp my social media page now to like be uplifting, I'm your girl.
I love it. Amy's new book, 101 Ways to Spread Joy, is out now. Grab it at the link that I'm going to throw in the show notes. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. Follow the pod everywhere. Follow Amy. She's been really cool. Like this conversation has been like a bright spot in my week. And share us with your messiest friend from Indy to wherever you're spreading joy. We love you and we'll see you next time. Oh, cool. That was fun.
That's so fun. I love